I came to South Carolina in 1983 on a Greyhound. I knew nothing about Gullah Geechee culture, nor was it called Gullah Geechee culture at the time. What I knew was that my auntie had married a man from St. Helena, and my family had moved here, and that my grandma was sick. And there was something that happened the first week I was here. My auntie put me in the van, drove me over the bridge into town, and just dropped me off. Said, like, entertain yourself. I'll come back. And I began walking through the town. And I was walking through the historic district when I started feeling watched. And I looked around, and there wasn't anybody. And then, and I've told this story many times, and it still kind of sounds crazy. It felt like I was hearing something that said, it was about time you got here, that I was home. And I wasn't going to, because I told the folk who put me on the bus, 2 weeks. Y'all not going to send me down to South Carolina and leave me. And that's 42 years ago. It resonated like home. And then there was the first Memorial Day parade. I had never seen anything like it. Just black folk marching through the streets and carrying flags and having floats. And I had never seen anything like it. I had never been in a place where the people walked down the street like they owned it. I married into a Gullah Geechee community. I have Gullah Geechee children. I came of age. I came into my womanhood. I came into my creative power in a Gullah Geechee community. So it informs it. It wasn't so much like, I am now going to celebrate. It shaped me. So it's shaped my work. Who would I have been if I had come into my own power anywhere else? Could I have come into my own power anywhere else? I don't know. But Creator made it so. The television was just an act of grace. We had been, my husband and I, telling stories, and they were the stories of the community. They were the stories of the people he had grown up around, the stories of the people we met. They were the songs that they were singing. And, I'd sung all my life. But when I began to sing the old songs, it was like it just locked in. It locked in. And I didn't know I was a storyteller until my husband said, why don't you tell this story? And then I stepped into myself. I stepped into myself. It's like myself had been waiting for me to just go. I look and I sometimes say, everything I am now, I can trace back to my childhood, to my father getting me a library card as soon as I could read, to my mother singing songs to me learning harmony from my father's baritone, to my father buying me my first art kit in 1973. And yes, I have gone to school and I've done all these things, but what I am is that. And it came together when I stepped onto that stage and began to tell stories. The painting, I've been painting most of my life. When I started doing TV, I forgot. I really kind of forgot about the paint. And when TV ended, I was trying to find myself. It's a really interesting thing when you are a TV character who's also you. And I began to try to find some way to differentiate between Natalie TV and Natalie when I'm playing myself. And one way that I was able to do that is I opened a little shop on St. Helena Island called Miss Natalie's Workshop. And I picked up a paintbrush and reconnected with that way of telling. And portraiture was what eventually, I was avoiding that. I was avoiding it. As a matter of fact, I was avoiding anything that I called it functional art. I painted furniture, I painted chairs, I painted mirror frames. I could justify it. And then the shop closed. And I ended up in a little space in a art co-op, and the only thing I could do was go up on the wall. And so I couldn't build furniture. And so I was like, okay. And it went up on the wall. And I rediscovered my connection to our faces. As I began to paint faces and I began to do art, and then eventually folks say it, they say, when did you start doing that? We thought you were an actor. I was like, well, before that, I was this. I painted who I loved. I painted the people who resonated with me. I painted my family. Every painting has a story. They aren't random. If I've painted someone or something, there's love there. There's love there. I paint Harriet Tubman a lot, and there's love there. I paint the people in my community because they are beautiful and strong and powerful. Sometimes art that comes out of my community, there's people like, what do we call Gullah Geechee art, or what do we call? And so often it's paintings of people in labor, and I will never do it. I will paint people in beauty and power. If I've painted it, it's in beauty and power. Even if there's pain, there's beauty and power, always. I started working on a painting once, and I was given a task to paint about mental health, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I was stuck. And I'm trying to do it, and I'm working, and I'm stuck in the problem. And then after I've been working on it, I heard in my head, free your mind. And I said, phew. And I changed it, and I painted this big, huge portrait of this woman, and it was collard greens, and it was flying behind her with all the leaves, and it was just. So I'm always going to paint us in beauty and power.